Hi there, and welcome to my Soul Authority channel. I'm Lorraine Van Tool, transformational life coach, holistic psychologist, and meditation guide. I'm staking out the safe spiritual space in solidarity so we can hear our authentic voice over all the noise and realign ourselves with clear choice. This is at the heart of Soul Authority. If you felt burned out and low, join us in rekindling our inner fires and getting back in the flow. Okie dokie. So, what my guides want to do, set up in the same way with their sanctuary, but what was already coming through is some of the teachings and the meaning that the sanctuary holds. Just looking at it now from this new angle, or not necessarily new, but uh, from this angle of not being good enough and connecting the dots. I was talking to um, another client about a meditation and new sort of phrasings and ideas coming out. And we were just sort of celebrating and laughing about this idea that we were kind of just looking, sort of that metaphor that's sometimes used where different people are looking at an elephant and they're looking at the trunk, or they're looking at the tail, or they're looking at the leg, and each is holding on to parts and claims, oh, it's this and it's that. And then suddenly, perhaps all of them realizing that they're looking at the same thing and it's an elephant. It felt like that, like I was having that experience with teachings coming through. And with this not good enough idea, worth that we've been talking about, I'm kind of getting sort of similar felt experience that lots of things I've talked about, but now I'm able to connect dots and we're getting just like greater and greater clarity. And so one of the things that just came out that is getting clearer and clearer is our connection to the sanctuary and our true nature is to help us understand that we are a part of nature, not even a part of, we are nature. We're just a different expression of it. And nature meaning Mother Earth. So we cannot be worthy. We cannot not be mysterious. We cannot not be this baby, this newborn baby, or what we see under a microscope, or the awe we experience when looking at the Grand Canyon. We're the same. So all of the brainwashing and all of the conditioning and all of the suffering and all of the disconnection and all of the craziness that we created are just lies of who we are. And we need to be very, I think, savvy and also very brave and also deeply trust ourselves to hold both truths, I guess. Still see the first as more the truer truth, and the other more of a subjective truth, or one that was shoved down our throats and maybe something we were forced to internalize and live with, or did not even have the capacity and the clarity to challenge, because we lived in that darkness with that kind of truth and belief of who we are for who knows generations on end. So of course, yeah, that was sort of ingrained in our minds, in our genes, but it's still a lie. So sitting in our sanctuary, in our true nature, hopefully that just becomes like so accessible and crystal clear that we don't even need to put up a fight. And then we can hopefully, from a felt and deep experience, see how much we've been subjected to and identify what that was like to ride through all those waves and go through all that, but not over identify, meaning confuse that with who we are at the deepest level. So that's my intention. And we're going to go into that step by step so that it becomes deeper and more connected to the heart of your soul and your core self, feeling it just really, really deep in the roots, but also sort of at the tip of your edges, the tips of your wings in your fullest expansion. So let's drop into heart center first and foremost. I think that is the place of balance, but it's also this place of mysterious, deep feeling and sacredness and connection to source and to all that is magnificent and beyond our logical ego mind. And once we've found our center in regards to just our body presence, the sensations we feel, sense of balance we have, moving left and right and front back, and distributing sort of our weight and felt experiences between the above and below, we can enter in our heart center and imagining entering a sacred, beautiful garden. You can imagine it being a greenhouse, or you can just tune into this beautiful, balanced sanctuary on earth that feels realistic, that feels or maybe is a place that you visited before, or a place that you know about, or a place that is a composite of different places. But it's realistic in the sense that all the elements are present. There's the element of air, there's the element of fire, earth, water flowing through it. And there's a sacred central tree. And this tree represents you and your body and the elements that are moving through you and back to this sacred garden in a very reciprocal, symbiotic relationship. So, what you're breathing in, the tree's breathing out, and what the tree's breathing out, you're breathing in. You're interconnected. As much as our mind wants to disconnect, operate as if we're independent, as if we're sort of on an island, magically accessing our resources with our money or whatever, this is not the truth. We are all interconnected to nature through all these elements, through this life energy, and money and all the convoluted economic, capitalistic, productive, Western patriarchal, all of those systems are sort of a side derailment programming that can get us confused, that we can get lost in like a matrix. But we can keep it in its place. We can see how small or minuscule it is to the true connection, to the true power, and how much life circulates through us, how much it is such a huge part of our daily existence, and shrink and diminish what our mind tends to focus on in ways that are also diminishing ourselves and our understanding of who we are. So, as we're sitting with the tree and we're really sort of leaning and resting in this knowing, in this surrendering of who we truly are, it can feel scary, like we're exposing our underbelly. And for that reason, we want our backbone to be lit up. We want to know that nature has our backs and that we have the courage, the backbone to stand our ground. And just even this act, this realignment can shift a lot in terms of even the feelings of not good enough. See what that's like to divorce these feelings of not good enough from what you used to do. Have it be measured by dollar signs, by your productivity, by social measures of success, by the control you have in the matrix, by your ability to navigate this matrix. What I want you to even do is look at the people who are so successful in your mind because of all the control they have in the matrix. And then imagine yourself being one of them versus where you're now. Do you really think you would feel more self-worth? Or are you being deluded? You're being lured into that thinking, and that makes you feel not good enough and sort of stuck. But perhaps with this clarity that it's not the answer, not something you even want to bother wasting your time and energy on. Because I have worked with people like that and they needed to take a U-turn. They thought that was the answer, but that is not the answer either. All the things that they were struggling with end up being even more pronounced because on top of the not good enough, now they're really feeling up a creek without a paddle, thinking, what now? Where's the solution? I thought that was the solution. And that is totally not the solution either. So, what's the solution? Feeling more of who you are and your worth, buffering yourself more, trusting your bark, keeping things more on the bark. I don't want to minimize the pressures and the game rules and all the things that we're subjected to survive. But I think we'll get more savvy and better at playing it when we're no longer shocked, surprised, upset about it, and not judge ourselves for needing to do what we need to do, or and thinking that we are lesser than because we're not masters at this crazy game. See it as a compliment. You're not a master at this crazy game because you want to play a whole other game and want to be a master at that game. So that's the game of judging, or is discerning, not judging, discerning how well you are reminding yourself of your true worth, your true nature, how well you are standing in that and able to cultivate the sensation within you, to maybe even make it muscle memory, to reframe any default thoughts or status quo beliefs, thoughts of what your worth is based on, that you might be subtly exposed to or maybe bluntly told by others, to get stronger and stronger in your sense of self and worth, so that it not even feels like defending yourself anymore. When you're exposed to that, it's just oil and water. It's not even gonna get in very much. And your clarity is gonna be what you want, not the oily, toxic, or distorted beliefs and mindset that others are operating from. So we do that with the help of the tree, connecting to the top of the tree, the branches, the leaves, to source of life and light and energy from above, the sun, the same with the bottom, dropping into our legs, our feet, our toes, our roots, resourcing from Mother Earth, understanding that we are her children, expressions of her magnificence and mystery, embodying the minerals, elements, plants, animals, and all who've come before us, as well as energy that has not been fully composted, understood, where all of our ancestors very, very likely over identified with the trauma, the challenges, the failures, and the suffering they were subjected to. And so we are clearing that as best as we can in our bodies with our tools and clearing with the help of the older ancestors, flushing out this light, this line of ancestors who might need our help, and having them step into their true nature and their power. And then all around us, we're going to work with the elements, air, fire, earth, and water, to keep our minds clear, to see the big picture, our highest through the long view, and circulating this freshness, these fresh ideas, the spaciousness through us to help dismantle, to help unpack rigid beliefs based on this good, bad, and distorted idea of worth and survival that's based on capitalistic productivity, consumerism, value based on the money and all of that that you have. Then we're going to work with fire, helping us set fear's limits, trust our courage, trust our inner heat and anger when devalued in that way, instead of pursuing value. And by pursuing these things, we want to do the opposite. Feel the devaluing that happens of our essence, of our integrity, of our sacredness, and stand up for that reason. Trust that fire and fever and energy once again, and then boldly, with the help of earth, take stronger alchemy action steps aligned with these values, and that's what we can grade ourselves on. That is what's going to build momentum. That's what we're going to stand on. That's what going to lead to distraction and leverage that we feel that we're gaining, this momentum that we're gaining. And once all of that is set in place, we're going to feel the flow. We're going to feel water moving through these passageways, detoxing as well as hydrating and nourishing us in a way that is not going to threaten a flash flood or a mudslide or anything like that. Our earth is getting hydrated, seeds are getting the hydration and support they need to start breaking open, becoming saplings, and becoming new growth. And then we go back to earth, looking at the big picture, continuously seeing what might be off, what might need some tending to and realigning with, once again, the help of heat and fire, and getting things, if they're a little too watery, too drowning us, too depressing or making us sad, needing to dry that up once again with heat and fire by setting new boundaries. So that is our true nature. That is what we can and hopefully learn to rely more on than the measures of success and worth and being good enough. Hopefully, we even, without needing to do anything, start to feel how much that is our default. That, of course, we're good enough. Of course, we're sacred, just like any living being. It's much easier for us to do that. My daughter and I were talking about, even though we know certain insects, perhaps flies, carry disease, it's even hard sometimes just to kill that, just to know, just knowing, I mean, that it's life that we're sort of messing with and ending. And yet we might do this with creatures or spiders or whatnot and not do it to ourselves. We're we're just as precious, just as sacred, just as every cell of us is just as brilliant. Um, so zooming out, zooming in, not nitpicking and finding fault, but zoom in and out and look at what you're made of in your energy, and hopefully become humble. What I said to one of my clients last Friday is like becoming so humble that you recognize that you don't even get to decide if you're good enough or what your worth is. You just don't know. You just need to stand back and let God and let mystery do its thing through you. And you're just going to ride it out, not knowing, but just doing the best you can. So hopefully, some of that lands and sticks with our wisest self, the self who knows who we are. And just like we don't feel in a position to judge Earth, even though all kinds of things happen with Earth, where people would say, with the elements, they can be very cruel, they can be whatnot. Most of us suspend judgment because we know the big picture, all of it's pretty magnificent. We're not in a position, our minds are so small to really conceive of all that's happening. So if we are part of that, we're just a tiny subset of that. I think we deserve similar respect and similar sort of withholding of judgment. So let's just sit with a tree and just be. That's to me what it means to withhold judgment, just to be and to be curious and to ride this wave, this privilege, this gift of being alive, and become more and more curious what we're doing with it, if we're doing the best job that we can with this gift, if there's more to understand, if there's more to enjoy, if there's more to do, instead of picking apart the gift as not being a good enough gift. So remember that we can always go back to the sanctuary, to this moment of connection, deepening it. For the time being, we're going to take the passage, we're going to retrace our steps, go down the passage that we came through, find ourselves coming back to the surface, finding ourselves coming back into the room that we're in. Starting to stretch, feeling ourselves back in the here and now, in the room we're in, thinking about the rest of our day, sensing our surroundings. And when you're fully back in the here and now, in the present moment, opening your eyes when you're ready. Thank you for joining me today in staking out spiritual space in solidarity and in community. Please share this video and the Zoom link below with anyone who would love some support in hearing their authentic voice over all the noise and realign with clear choice. I offer me time through meditation virtual meetings every second and fourth Monday of the month from 1:30 to 2:30 to heal, love, lead with soul authority. Please visit me at soulauthoritycoaching.com or thesacredhealingwell.com for more info.